Have you ever wondered why some people seem to radiate contentment and joy even in their later years, while others struggle with loneliness and dissatisfaction? What if I told you that happiness in your golden years isn't about luck, genetics, or even circumstances? The truth is, the seniors who thrive have discovered something profound. Happiness is a daily practice, not a distant destination. They've learned that each morning brings an opportunity to choose fulfillment over frustration, purpose over passivity. Their secret lies not in grand gestures or dramatic life changes, but in the quiet consistency of meaningful daily habits. If you're ready to discover what truly happy seniors do differently, then this conversation is exactly what you need. Too many of us approach aging with resignation, as if our best days are automatically behind us. We accept the narrative that getting older means becoming invisible, irrelevant, or isolated from the world around us. Society whispers that retirement should be about slowing down, stepping aside, and gracefully fading into the background. But this couldn't be further from the truth for those who age with genuine happiness and purpose. The most fulfilled seniors reject this passive approach to their later years entirely. They understand that each day is still an opportunity to grow, contribute, and experience wonder in ways that younger people often miss. The difference between those who flourish and those who merely survive isn't money, health, or family circumstances, though these certainly matter. Instead, it's the deliberate cultivation of daily practices that nourish the soul and maintain connection to life's deeper meanings. Happy seniors have discovered that aging well is an active choice, requiring intention and commitment to specific habits that sustain joy. They've learned to see each day not as one step closer to decline, but as another chance to practice the art of living fully. These individuals have cracked the code of contentment, and their approach is both surprisingly simple and profoundly transformative. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about aging gracefully. Through the stories of three remarkable individuals, you'll witness how different people in different circumstances have found their own paths to daily happiness. You'll see how a retired engineer by the sea, a creative spirit in the city, and a community leader in a retirement home have each developed unique rhythms that sustain their joy. Their approaches vary dramatically, yet they share common threads that reveal universal truths about human flourishing. Each has discovered practices that keep them engaged, purposeful, and genuinely excited about waking up each morning. By the end of our time together, you'll have a clear roadmap for creating your own daily happiness practices, regardless of your current circumstances or living situation. You'll understand exactly what separates those who thrive from those who merely survive, and you'll have practical tools to implement immediately in your own life. Most importantly, you'll realize that your happiest, most fulfilling years don't have to be behind you. They can be the ones you're living right now. The wisdom these seniors have discovered isn't complicated or expensive. It's accessible to anyone willing to embrace a new way of approaching each day. Their stories will show you that happiness in later life isn't about what happens to you, but about what you choose to do with each precious day you're given. To illustrate this perfectly, let me tell you a story about three remarkable people whose daily habits reveal the secrets of lasting contentment. Our first story takes us to a modest cottage perched near a rugged coastline, where Samuel, a 76-year-old retired civil engineer, has discovered something extraordinary about the power of morning rituals. Samuel lives alone, but he's far from lonely. He's found a way to start each day that fills him with peace and purpose. His weathered hands and kind eyes tell the story of a man who has learned to find joy in simplicity. The cottage itself is small and unassuming, with salt-stained windows that frame an endless view of rolling waves and morning light. Samuel chose this place not for its luxury, but for its connection to something larger than himself. Like the video if you're ready to discover what happy seniors do differently, and subscribe for more wisdom on aging with purpose and dignity. Each morning, long before the world stirs to life, Samuel's day begins with a ritual that has become as essential to him as breathing itself. The alarm clock isn't necessary anymore. His body has learned to wake naturally at 5:30, drawn by an internal rhythm that syncs perfectly with the coastal dawn. He moves quietly through his small cottage, slipping into clothes he laid out the night before, comfortable walking shoes worn smooth by countless morning journeys, a light jacket that smells faintly of sea salt, and a wool cap that has become his signature companion on these solitary adventures. The wooden door creaks softly as Samuel steps outside, immediately greeted by the cool morning air that carries the eternal conversation between wind and waves. His cottage sits on a gentle bluff overlooking the ocean, connected to the beach below by a weathered path that he has walked so many times. His feet know every root and stone by heart. The descent is gradual and meditative, each step bringing him closer to the rhythm that governs all life here, the endless cycle of waves reaching toward shore and retreating back to the vast expanse of water. When Samuel's feet first touch the sand, something profound happens within him. The cool grains shift beneath his weight, and he feels immediately connected to something far larger and more enduring than his individual concerns. He begins walking along the water's edge, where the waves leave their temporary signatures in foam and retreating water. The sound of the ocean becomes a backdrop for his thoughts, not drowning them out, but somehow organizing them into a peaceful clarity that city noise could never provide. After walking for 20 minutes, Samuel finds his favorite spot, a stretch of beach where driftwood logs create natural seating and the view extends endlessly toward the horizon. Here he stops and turns to face the emerging sun. He places his feet firmly in the sand, shoulders width apart, and begins the breathing practice that anchors his entire day. Samuel inhales slowly through his nose, counting to 4, then holds his breath for 4 counts, and exhales through his mouth for 6 counts. This simple rhythm connects him to the rise and fall of the waves, the cycling of the tides, and the eternal dance between earth and sky. As the sun climbs higher, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Samuel feels a familiar sense of gratitude wash over him. Not the forced kind of thankfulness that comes from obligation, but the natural appreciation that emerges when you regularly witness beauty that exists beyond human creation or control. He watches seabirds begin their day, diving for fish with graceful precision, and he marvels at how nature operates with such perfect timing and purpose. These moments of observation teach him something new each morning about patience, persistence, and the quiet dignity of living in harmony with natural rhythms. The walk back to the cottage is different from the journey down. Samuel's mind is now clear and centered, ready to embrace whatever the day might bring. He climbs the familiar path with steady steps, breathing in the salt air that has become as vital to him as any medicine. By the time he reaches his front door, the sun has fully risen, and he feels as though he has attended the most important meeting of his day, a gathering with forces far older and wiser than human concerns. Inside the cottage, Samuel moves to his kitchen with purposeful calm. He fills his old coffee pot with water, measures out grounds from a canister that sits beside the window, and sets it to brew. The familiar sounds and aromas of this daily ritual comfort him as much as the ocean ritual energized him. While the coffee percolates, he retrieves his leather-bound journal from its place on the kitchen table, a thick book with pages yellowed by months of daily use and thoughts committed to paper. The kitchen table sits perfectly positioned beside a large window that frames the ocean view. Samuel settles into his usual chair, the one with cushions worn to fit his form exactly, and opens his journal to a fresh page. The morning light streaming through the window illuminates the lined paper, and he begins the practice that has become as crucial to his well-being as his morning walk. He writes first about the previous day, not a detailed account of events, but a reflection on moments that stood out, lessons learned, or feelings that deserve attention. Samuel's handwriting flows steadily across the page as he processes his experiences through words. Yesterday, he might write about the conversation with a neighbor, the satisfaction of fixing a squeaky door hinge, or the peace he felt while reading in his favorite chair. He doesn't judge these reflections or try to make them profound. He simply allows his thoughts to flow onto paper, creating a dialogue between his present self and his experiences. This practice helps him understand patterns in his thinking, celebrate small victories, and release concerns that might otherwise linger in his mind. After reflecting on the previous day, Samuel turns his attention to gratitude. He writes 3 specific things he appreciates, not generic statements, but particular moments or observations that touched him. Today, he might note the way morning light created patterns on his bedroom wall, the taste of the apple he enjoyed with lunch, or the sound of children laughing as they passed his cottage. This deliberate focus on appreciation has trained his mind to notice beauty and goodness throughout each day, creating a foundation of contentment that doesn't depend on external circumstances. The final element of Samuel's journal practice involves sketching. He's not an artist in any formal sense, but he finds deep satisfaction in attempting to capture the birds he observes during his morning walks. His drawings are simple, a few lines suggesting the curve of a gull's wing, the posture of a sandpiper, or the flight pattern of pelicans moving in formation. These sketches connect him more deeply to the natural world around him and provide a creative outlet that engages a different part of his mind than writing does. As the morning progresses and Samuel finishes his journal time, he prepares for the part of his day that brings him the greatest sense of purpose: his volunteer work at the local elementary school. 3 afternoons each week, he makes the short drive to the school where he leads a woodworking club for children, aged 8 to 12. This isn't a casual commitment for Samuel. It's become central to his identity and his sense of contribution to the world. The woodworking classroom fills with excitement when Samuel arrives, carrying his worn leather tool bag and wearing his signature work apron. The children gather around him with genuine enthusiasm, eager to continue projects begun in previous sessions or to start new ones under his patient guidance. Samuel has a gift for making each child feel capable and important, regardless of their skill level or natural ability with tools. "Good afternoon, builders," Samuel greets them with a warm smile. "Today we're going to work on your birdhouses, and I want to show you how to make a proper joint that will keep your feathered friends safe and dry." He moves among the children, offering individual attention and encouragement, his weathered hands guiding small fingers as they learn to hold tools correctly and work with wood respectfully. The children respond to Samuel's calm presence and genuine interest in their success. He never raises his voice or shows impatience when they struggle with a technique. Instead, he finds different ways to explain concepts, always affirming their efforts and celebrating their progress. "Remember," he tells them, "the wood wants to be shaped. We just have to listen to what it's telling us and work with it, not against it." Through these afternoon sessions, Samuel experiences the profound satisfaction that comes from passing on knowledge and skills to the next generation. He sees himself not just as a teacher of woodworking techniques, but as someone who can show children the value of patience, precision, and taking pride in creating something with their own hands. The projects they complete together, birdhouses, simple boats, picture frames, become tangible symbols of their shared time and effort. As Samuel reflects on his daily routine during quiet evening moments, he recognizes that his happiness springs from 3 essential practices: The first is his deep connection with nature through his morning beach walks and breathing exercises. This daily communion with the ocean provides him with perspective, peace, and a sense of belonging to something eternal and beautiful. The rhythms of the natural world remind him that life operates in cycles, that difficulties pass like storms, and that beauty is always available to those who take time to notice it. The second practice is his commitment to daily self-reflection through journaling. This habit allows him to process his experiences thoughtfully, maintain awareness of his emotional patterns, and cultivate gratitude as a conscious choice rather than leaving contentment to chance. By writing regularly, Samuel creates a dialogue with himself that promotes understanding, acceptance, and growth even in his later years. The third practice is his contribution to the community through volunteering with children. This service connects him to future generations and gives him a sense of purpose that transcends his personal concerns. Teaching woodworking allows him to share skills accumulated over decades, while experiencing the joy and energy that children bring to everything they do. This intergenerational connection keeps him engaged with life and reminds him that his knowledge and experience have genuine value. These three practices work together to create a life of remarkable contentment and purpose. Samuel's story demonstrates that happiness in later years doesn't require wealth, perfect health, or ideal circumstances. Instead, it emerges from deliberate daily choices that honor our deepest needs for connection, reflection, and meaningful contribution. His solitary living situation, which others might view as lonely, becomes a foundation for peace and self-awareness. When supported by practices that connect him to nature, his inner wisdom, and his community, Samuel's approach to aging offers us a powerful model for creating fulfillment regardless of our specific circumstances. His story shows that the key to happiness lies not in what happens to us, but in how we choose to structure our days and where we direct our attention and energy. Like the video if this story resonates with you, and leave me a comment sharing one daily practice that brings you peace and purpose. I'd love to hear about your own rituals that create meaning in your life, and subscribe for more stories of wisdom and intentional living. While Samuel found his happiness in coastal solitude and natural rhythms, not everyone thrives in quiet isolation. Some souls need the energy of urban life, the stimulation of creativity, and the buzz of human connection to feel truly alive. To illustrate this beautifully, let me share another story that shows how happiness can flourish in completely different circumstances, proving that there's no single path to contentment in our later years. Gloria awakens each morning in her fifth-floor apartment overlooking one of the city's most vibrant neighborhoods. At 70 years old, she approaches each day with the same creative spirit that defined her decades as a fashion designer, but now channeled into a lifestyle that celebrates self-expression and continuous growth. Her apartment reflects her artistic sensibility, walls adorned with her own paintings alongside vintage fashion sketches, shelves displaying ceramics she's crafted in recent months, and a vintage armoire that holds the key to her daily transformation. The morning ritual that sets Gloria's entire day in motion happens before this magnificent armoire, a piece she discovered at an estate sale and restored herself. Opening its doors feels like entering a treasure chest of possibilities, each garment and accessory holding memories while offering potential for new combinations. Gloria doesn't simply get dressed, she curates her daily presentation as carefully as she once designed collections for discerning clients. This isn't vanity or superficiality, it's a deliberate act of creativity that honors her identity and sets her intention for engaging with the world. Today, Gloria's fingers trace across silk scarves arranged by color, pausing at one she purchased during a memorable trip to Paris 15 years ago. The fabric still holds the essence of that adventure: cafe conversations, museum visits, and the confidence she felt navigating foreign streets with curiosity rather than fear. She pairs the scarf with a deep emerald blouse she made herself last winter, adding a statement necklace crafted from vintage buttons and beads she collected over the years. Each choice contributes to an ensemble that makes her feel authentically herself. The mirror reflects back a woman who refuses to become invisible with age. Gloria sees someone who has embraced the freedom that comes with decades of experience. Someone no longer concerned with others' expectations, but deeply committed to expressing her unique vision of beauty and style. This daily creative expression through clothing serves as armor against the world's tendency to overlook older women. But more importantly, it feeds her soul and maintains her connection to the artistic passion that has always defined her. With her outfit complete, Gloria steps out into the city streets with purpose and energy. The 15-minute walk to her art studio takes her through neighborhoods alive with morning activity, coffee shops filling with early customers, delivery trucks navigating narrow streets, and fellow pedestrians beginning their own daily journeys. Unlike Samuel's solitary beach walks, Gloria's movement through the urban landscape connects her to the collective energy of human endeavor and creativity. The art studio occupies the second floor of a converted warehouse, its large windows flooding the space with natural light that changes throughout the day. Gloria has been coming here for 3 years now, ever since she decided that retirement meant expansion rather than retreat. The studio offers classes in watercolor, oils, ceramics, sculpture, and mixed media, a buffet of creative possibilities that keeps Gloria's mind engaged and her hands busy with new challenges. This morning, Gloria settles at her usual easel in the watercolor section, greeting fellow artists who have become dear friends through shared creative struggles and victories. The instructor, a patient woman in her 40s who reminds Gloria of her younger self, announces today's focus on abstract landscapes, a perfect match for Gloria's current fascination with capturing emotion through color and form rather than realistic representation. As Gloria mixes colors on her palette, she feels the familiar thrill of not knowing exactly what will emerge on the paper. This uncertainty, which might have frustrated her in her younger, more controlling years, now excites her. She has learned to trust the creative process, to let her intuition guide her brush while remaining open to unexpected discoveries. The abstract landscape that develops under her hand reflects not any specific place, but rather the emotional landscape of her current life, vibrant, layered, and full of beautiful surprises. The other students work quietly around her, each absorbed in their own creative dialogue with paint and paper. Gloria appreciates this shared solitude, the way creative work can connect people without requiring conversation. Occasionally, someone asks for advice about color mixing or technique, and Gloria shares her knowledge freely, remembering how generous other artists were when she first began painting seriously. When the class ends, Gloria carefully cleans her brushes and stores her painting to dry, already anticipating how she might develop it further in tomorrow's session. This commitment to lifelong learning has become as essential to her happiness as breathing. At 70, she refuses to accept that her learning days are behind her. Instead, each new skill acquired, each technique mastered, each creative challenge overcome reinforces her sense of growth and possibility. The walk from the art studio to the library takes Gloria through a different section of the city, past shops and restaurants that reflect the neighborhood's diverse population. She stops occasionally to admire window displays or chat briefly with shopkeepers who have come to know her over the years. These casual interactions feed her extroverted nature and remind her that she belongs to this urban community in meaningful ways. The library's community room has been transformed into a welcoming circle of chairs by the time Gloria arrives for her weekly poetry group. This gathering represents the culmination of Gloria's week, the moment when her love of language and connection to others converges in 2 hours of shared vulnerability and creative expression. The group includes 12 regular members ranging in age from 55 to 82, representing diverse backgrounds, experiences, and writing styles. Gloria serves as the unofficial leader of this group, a role that emerged naturally from her enthusiasm and organizational skills. She begins each session by creating a warm, inclusive atmosphere where everyone feels safe to share their work. Poetry, she tells newcomers, is simply honest conversation with ourselves that others get to overhear. There's no wrong way to do it, only authentic ways and less authentic ways. Today's session focuses on poems about transformation, a theme that resonates deeply with this group of older adults who have navigated numerous life changes. Gloria reads first, sharing a piece she wrote about her morning dressing ritual and how choosing her clothes has become an act of daily reinvention. Her voice carries the conviction of someone who has found profound meaning in what others might dismiss as trivial. Each morning I stand before my mirror, not seeing what time has taken, but choosing what to give the day, she reads, her words painting pictures of resilience and intentional living. The group listens attentively, recognizing in her words their own struggles with aging, identity, and the desire to remain vital and visible. When Gloria finishes, the room fills with appreciative murmurs and thoughtful silence. Then Margaret, a retired librarian, shares her poem about learning to use a smartphone at 78. Her words capture both the frustration and triumph of acquiring new skills later in life, drawing knowing chuckles from the group. Each member who chooses to read contributes another perspective on the theme, creating a collective exploration of growth and change. The feedback portion of the session showcases the group's supportive culture. They offer gentle suggestions for improving rhythm or imagery while celebrating the courage required to share personal truths through poetry. Gloria facilitates these discussions with skill developed through years of leading creative teams in her fashion career, ensuring everyone feels heard while maintaining focus on constructive growth. As the session concludes, Gloria feels the deep satisfaction that comes from meaningful connection with others. These relationships, built through shared creativity and mutual vulnerability, provide emotional nourishment that sustains her between meetings. The group members exchange hugs and make plans for next week, their bonds strengthened by another afternoon of authentic sharing. Walking home through the early evening city, Gloria reflects on the 3 practices that have created such richness in her retired life. The first is her commitment to daily creative expression, manifested most visibly in her morning clothing rituals, but extending to every aspect of how she presents herself to the world. This practice keeps her connected to her artistic identity, while affirming her right to take up space and be seen regardless of age. The second practice is her dedication to lifelong learning through art classes and creative exploration. This commitment challenges her mind, develops new skills, and connects her to communities of fellow learners. By remaining a student, Gloria maintains the humility and curiosity that keep life interesting and prevent the stagnation that can accompany retirement. The third practice is her intentional building of social connections through her poetry group and casual community interactions. These relationships provide emotional support, intellectual stimulation, and opportunities to contribute her own wisdom and experience to others' lives. Rather than allowing retirement to narrow her social circle, Gloria has actively expanded it in meaningful directions. Gloria's urban lifestyle demonstrates that happiness in later years can thrive in busy, stimulating environments when supported by practices that honor our deepest needs for creativity, growth, and connection. Her story shows that aging doesn't require retreating from the world, but can instead mean engaging with it more intentionally and authentically than ever before. Her daily choices prove that retirement can become a time of expansion rather than contraction, creativity rather than stagnation, and deeper relationships rather than increasing isolation. The contrast between Gloria's vibrant city life and Samuel's peaceful coastal existence illustrates a crucial truth about aging well. There's no single formula for happiness in our later years. What matters is identifying practices that align with our authentic selves and committing to them with consistency and intention. Both Gloria and Samuel have discovered that contentment comes not from external circumstances, but from internal choices about how to spend our days and where to direct our energy. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories like this that show the many different paths to fulfillment and purpose in your golden years. We've seen how happiness can flourish in coastal solitude and urban creativity, but there's yet another path that many seniors find themselves walking: the transition to community living. This change often comes with fears about losing independence and identity, yet some discover unexpected opportunities for purpose and connection. To show you how this can transform from challenge into triumph, I want to tell you another story that captures this perfectly. Harold stepped through the entrance of the retirement community 3 months ago with considerable apprehension, carrying 2 suitcases and a lifetime of memories compressed into the belongings that fit in his new apartment. At 85, the former history teacher had resisted this move for years, clinging to his family home even as maintaining it became increasingly challenging. His children's gentle persistence finally convinced him that community living might offer safety and companionship, though Harold secretly worried he was surrendering his independence and identity to institutional routine. The first few weeks proved as difficult as Harold had anticipated. The structured meal times, organized activities, and well-meaning staff interactions felt foreign after decades of setting his own schedule and making his own choices. His small apartment, while comfortable and efficiently designed, seemed like a pale shadow of the house where he had raised his family and hosted countless dinner parties for fellow educators. Harold found himself withdrawing, eating meals quickly, and returning to his room to read, avoiding the common areas, where other residents gathered for conversation and games. But Harold's natural inclination toward helping others gradually drew him out of isolation. His teaching instincts, honed over 40 years in the classroom, couldn't remain dormant when he noticed fellow residents struggling with various challenges. When he saw Margaret, a recent arrival, looking lost and overwhelmed during her first week, Harold approached her with the same gentle patience he had once shown confused students on their first day of school. "The adjustment is harder than anyone tells you," Harold said, settling into the chair beside her in the main lounge. "I've been here 3 months, and I'm still figuring things out myself, but I've learned a few tricks that might help." This simple act of acknowledgement and support marked the beginning of Harold's transformation from reluctant resident to community leader, though he didn't recognize it at the time. Harold's breakthrough came when he volunteered to lead the morning walking group after the previous leader moved to assisted living. This decision wasn't calculated or ambitious. He simply couldn't bear to see a beneficial program disappear. When residents needed the physical activity and social connection it provided, what began as a practical solution to fill a gap became Harold's daily anchor and the foundation of his renewed sense of purpose. Each morning at 7:30, Harold appears in the main lobby wearing his comfortable walking shoes and carrying a small notebook where he tracks participation and notes residents' progress. The group that gathers around him includes 12 to 15 regulars, plus occasional newcomers, who Harold welcomes with enthusiasm and patience. These residents range in age from 70 to 92, representing various physical abilities. and mobility levels, but Harold has learned to adapt the walk to accommodate everyone. "Good morning, walkers." Harold greets them with genuine warmth, his voice carrying the authority and kindness that made him beloved by students decades earlier. "Today we're going to take the garden path, which gives us those lovely views of the rose beds and enough distance to get our hearts pumping without overdoing it." He moves among the group, checking on those who use walkers or canes, ensuring everyone feels included and capable. The walking route winds through carefully landscaped grounds that provide both beauty and appropriate challenges for senior walkers. Harold has studied these paths extensively, learning which routes offer the best combination of safety, scenery, and physical benefit. He leads from the front, but frequently drops back to walk beside different residents, engaging them in conversation that transforms the exercise from mere physical activity into social connection and mental stimulation. During these walks, Harold shares stories from his teaching years, asks residents about their own careers and experiences, and creates an atmosphere where everyone feels valued and heard. "Exercise is good for the body," he tells newcomers, "but conversation is exercise for the soul. We're doing both out here." His natural teaching ability helps residents see the walk not as a chore or medical necessity, but as an opportunity for growth and connection. The success of the walking group led to Harold's second major contribution to community life: volunteering. At the front desk during busy afternoon hours, the facility's staff initially hesitated to accept his offer, concerned about liability and professional protocols. But Harold's persistence and obvious competence eventually convinced them to create a volunteer position that utilized his skills while respecting necessary boundaries. Behind the reception desk, Harold greets visitors with the same warmth he once showed parents arriving for school conferences. His natural ability to put people at ease proves invaluable when adult children visit their parents, often carrying their own anxieties about aging and care decisions. Harold's presence provides reassurance and practical information that professional staff, despite their good intentions, sometimes cannot offer in quite the same way. "First time visiting?" Harold asks a nervous-looking woman approaching the desk. "I understand that feeling. My own daughter was worried sick when I first moved." "Here, let me tell you what I wish someone had told her. This place becomes what you make of it, and most of us make it pretty good." His honesty about his own adjustment challenges, combined with genuine optimism about community living, helps families navigate difficult conversations and decisions. Harold also assists new residents during their first days, offering practical tips about meal times, activity schedules, and unwritten social protocols that can make the difference between feeling lost and feeling at home. His teaching background serves him well in breaking down complex information into manageable pieces and recognizing when someone needs extra support or encouragement. The key, Harold explains to newcomers, is finding your rhythm here while staying true to who you are. This isn't about giving up your identity, it's about discovering new ways to express it. His approach helps residents see community living as an opportunity for reinvention rather than a surrender to decline. As evening settles over the retirement community, Harold retreats to his apartment for the practice that has become most precious to him: writing letters to his grandchildren. His small writing desk sits positioned beside the window that offers views of the garden paths where he leads his morning walks. The desk itself is one of the few pieces of furniture Harold brought from his family home, and sitting there each evening connects him to decades of grading papers and preparing lessons. Harold's correspondence with his grandchildren represents far more than casual family communication. These letters serve as his primary method of maintaining meaningful connections across the physical distance that separates them. Unlike quick phone calls or brief text messages, Harold's handwritten letters allow him to share stories, wisdom, and family history in ways that create lasting bonds and preserve important memories. Tonight, Harold writes to his youngest grandson, a college sophomore studying engineering, who rarely calls but always responds to Harold's letters with enthusiasm and gratitude. Harold describes his morning walk, including details about the residents who participated and the conversations that made him think of his grandson's own challenges with group projects and teamwork. Leadership, Harold writes in his careful script, isn't about being the smartest or strongest person in the room. It's about helping everyone else feel capable and included. I learned that in the classroom, and I'm learning it again here in ways I never expected. He goes on to share specific examples from his volunteer work, illustrating abstract principles through concrete stories that bring lessons to life. Harold's letters also preserve family stories and values that might otherwise be lost. He tells his grandchildren about their deceased grandmother's cooking techniques, their grandfather's military service, and the family traditions that shaped previous generations. These stories connect young people to their heritage while demonstrating how family values can adapt to new circumstances without losing their essential meaning. The act of writing by hand forces Harold to think carefully about what he wants to communicate, leading to more thoughtful and meaningful exchanges than digital communication typically allows. His grandchildren have begun saving these letters, recognizing them as precious documents that capture their grandfather's wisdom and love in tangible form. As Harold reflects on his unexpected journey from reluctant resident to community leader, he recognizes 3 practices that have transformed his experience of aging in institutional care. The first is his commitment to staying physically active through the walking group he leads. This regular exercise benefits his own health while creating opportunities to serve others and build relationships based on shared goals and mutual encouragement. The second practice is his dedication to helping others through his volunteer work at the front desk and his informal mentoring of new residents. This service connects him to his lifelong identity as an educator, while providing concrete ways to contribute to his community's well-being. By helping others adjust and thrive, Harold maintains his sense of purpose and relevance. The third practice is his intentional nurturing of family connections through his letter-writing correspondence with his grandchildren. These communications bridge physical distance while preserving family bonds and ensuring that his role as patriarch and wisdom keeper remains active and meaningful. The letters provide him with regular opportunities to reflect on his experiences and share insights that benefit the next generation. Harold's story demonstrates that happiness in community living depends not on the facilities or programs provided, but on how residents choose to engage with available opportunities. His initial resistance and subsequent transformation illustrate how our attitudes and actions shape our experiences more powerfully than external circumstances do. The retirement community that once felt like a prison of routine and limitation has become Harold's platform for continued growth, service, and connection. His daily practices prove that institutional living doesn't require surrendering identity or purpose. Instead, it can provide new context for expressing our deepest values and utilizing our accumulated wisdom in service of others. Harold's journey from isolation to leadership shows that even the most challenging life transitions can become opportunities for discovery and contribution when approached with openness and intention. His story reminds us that happiness in our later years often emerges not from comfort or ease, but from finding meaningful ways to serve others and maintain connections to what matters most. Like this video, if Harold's transformation inspires you to see your own challenges as opportunities for growth and service. The stories of Samuel, Gloria, and Harold reveal something profound about the nature of happiness in our later years. Despite They're vastly different circumstances, a coastal cottage, an urban apartment, and a retirement community, each discovered that contentment comes not from where we live or what we own, but from how we choose to spend our days and where we direct our energy. Their combined wisdom offers us 9 essential practices that can transform any life situation into a foundation for joy and purpose. The first practice these happy seniors share is connecting with nature, whether through Samuel's dawn walks on the beach or Harold's morning strolls through landscaped gardens. Nature provides perspective that transcends our individual concerns, reminding us that we're part of something larger and more enduring than our temporary worries. You don't need to live by the ocean to benefit from this practice. A daily walk, in a local park, tending a small garden, or simply sitting outside to watch the sky can provide the grounding and peace that natural connection offers. The second practice is engaging in daily self-reflection, demonstrated by Samuel's morning journaling ritual. This habit allows us to process our experiences thoughtfully, recognize patterns in our thinking, and cultivate gratitude as a conscious choice rather than leaving contentment to chance. Self-reflection helps us understand ourselves more deeply and make intentional decisions about how we want to live each day. The third practice involves contributing to the community in meaningful ways. Samuel's volunteer work with children, Gloria's leadership of the poetry group, and Harold's guidance of new residents all demonstrate how service to others creates purpose and connection. When we share our knowledge, skills, and time with others, we affirm our continued value and relevance while building relationships that enrich our lives. The fourth practice is expressing creativity in whatever form speaks to your soul. Gloria's daily clothing choices and artistic pursuits show how creative expression maintains our sense of identity and vitality. Creativity doesn't require formal training or exceptional talent. It simply needs regular practice and the courage to explore new possibilities. Whether through art, music, writing, cooking, or gardening, creative expression keeps our spirits vibrant and our minds engaged. The fifth practice is committing to lifelong learning, as Gloria demonstrates through her art classes and new techniques. Learning challenges our brains, connects us to communities of fellow students, and proves that growth doesn't end at any particular age. This might mean taking formal classes, reading books on unfamiliar topics, learning to use new technology, or developing skills you've always wanted to try. The sixth practice focuses on building and maintaining social connections through shared interests and mutual support. Gloria's poetry group and Harold's walking club illustrate how relationships based on common goals and authentic sharing provide emotional nourishment that sustains us through difficult times. These connections require intentional effort, but provide immeasurable rewards in terms of companionship, understanding, and joy. The seventh practice is staying physically active in ways that suit your abilities and interests. Harold's leadership of the walking group shows how physical activity can become a social experience that benefits both body and soul. Regular movement doesn't require gym memberships or intense workouts. It simply needs consistency and adaptation to your current capabilities. The eighth practice involves helping others through both formal volunteering and informal acts of kindness. Harold's front desk service and mentoring of newcomers demonstrate how our accumulated wisdom and experience can benefit others while providing us with continued purpose and relevance. Helping others creates connections while affirming our continued ability to make positive contributions to the world. The ninth and final practice is nurturing family connections across physical distance and generational differences. Harold's letter-writing correspondence with his grandchildren shows how intentional communication can bridge gaps and preserve important relationships. These connections require effort and creativity, but provide emotional anchoring that sustains us through life's challenges. These 9 practices work together to create lives of remarkable fulfillment and purpose, regardless of external circumstances or living situations. Samuel, Gloria, and Harold each found their own unique combination of these elements, proving that there's no single formula for happiness in our later years. What matters is identifying which practices resonate with your authentic self and committing to them with consistency and intention. The question now is how you're going to apply these lessons to your own life. Which of these 9 practices already exists in your daily routine, and which ones are missing? What small changes could you make tomorrow to begin incorporating more of these happiness-creating habits into your days? Remember, transformation doesn't require dramatic overhauls. It emerges from consistent daily choices that honor your deepest needs for connection, purpose, and growth. Your later years don't have to be defined by limitation, loss, or resignation. Instead, they can become a time of intentional living, deep relationships, and continued contribution to the world around you. The choice is yours, and it begins with how you decide to spend tomorrow. Like this video if these stories have inspired you to see your own aging journey in a new light, and subscribe to this channel for more wisdom and practical guidance on creating a fulfilling life at any age.